We've been lied to. I fell for it, and you probably did too, because money is an illusion, yet it drives most of our lives. Have you ever felt like everything you've been told about money just doesn't add up? Have you ever been told that skipping coffee each day will make you rich?
I can't even keep a straight face while saying that, but
that is the kind of bullshit that I'm talking about. The more I learn about money, the more I realize most of us play Legos while the real rich, they play chess. That's why in today's video, I'm going to dismantle the facade and reveal the 7 biggest lies that you believe about money that are complete bullshit. It's time to swap out the Legos for chess pieces and play the game on our terms. Right now, we live in a world where the value of a college degree is often taken as gospel, which is fucking crazy to me because we've been led down this path paved with promises of high-paying jobs and financial security simply by obtaining a piece of paper. Go to college, get a job with a high salary, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard it before. It's cliche, it's cringy, yet most of us, when we leave high school, it's often the first place we go because it's ingrained in us. This is the biggest lie to ever come out of your parents' mouths. And listen, I'm not mad about it because you only know what you only know. So to them, this probably sounded like the best advice they could give their kids because they've known no different. But let's face it, the reality for many graduates is a stark contrast to this promise. With the student debt crisis looming larger than it's ever been before and a job market that's more competitive than it's been in decades, it's clear that a college degree is not the golden ticket it was once thought to be. True success comes from not just a diploma or a degree, but from the skills you hone, the experiences you collect, and how you apply them. That's a good segue to another huge lie we're all told about money, and one that paralyzed me for almost a year. Back in 2018, I witnessed the collapse of the company that I worked for, and overnight, everyone's jobs disappeared, leaving over 80 of us on our hands and knees, literally begging other companies for employment. All right, that is a little bit extreme, but that is exactly how it felt at the time. It was a stark revelation of the real risk, the illusion of job security. Amid all the liquidation, a friend of mine who also lost his job asked me to start a business with him. The path in his head was pretty clear. We'd take all these clients that we were directly working for and everything would be great. However, it was not so clear in my head and I was paralyzed by fear. The only answer I could come up with when asked to start the business was, it's too risky. Which brings me on to the second biggest lie that we're told, and it is starting a business is risky, which is insane because when I look back on it, the so-called safe job I once had went up in smoke in seconds. So I said no to starting the business at that time, continued on at the perils of another corporation working my safe job. It wasn't until about 10 months later when he called me again, this time with an ultimatum.
I'm not asking you again, are you in or are you out?
I said I'm in, and that was 6 years ago and we're still going strong. Before we jump on to the next one, comment down below the biggest lie you've ever been told about money. And if you're enjoying this kind of content, please like the video and it would mean the world if you subscribe to support the mission to 10,000. Moving on to the third biggest lie we're told about money, and it's one that I hadn't put too much thought into until I spoke to a work colleague. We were on this topic of retirement savings. Just a bit of background about this guy. He's 55 years old and he's been running his own business since 2005. Just leisurely talking, he mentioned he had $120,000 in his retirement fund, and I was like, what? Surely you mean you've got 520,000? Nope, 120,000. I was floored. How do you only have 120,000 at 55, I asked. His puzzled look mirrored my shock. Despite owning a business since 2005, he had never prioritized setting money aside for retirement, thinking there was plenty of time. He was equally as stunned to learn at 30, I had $70,000 in my retirement fund. Being 55, I was expecting him to have at least $400,000 to $500,000. One of the most deceptive lies we're led to believe is you have lots of time to plan for retirement. It's a comforting thought, right? The idea that the future is far away and we can always get serious about retirement planning later. The truth is, the earlier you start, the more you benefit from the magic of compound interest. The difference between starting at 25 30, or even 55 can be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. It's about leveraging time, one of the few advantages we all have but often piss up the wall. All right, let's dive into another pervasive lie, one that's been getting harder to ignore with the rise of certain financial services. In the last 5 years, Afterpay and similar buy now, pay later options have exploded. Not just online, but in physical stores, and believe it or not, even in restaurants. Seeing a buy now, pay later option for a meal out is more than just shock, it's a sign of how our attitudes towards debt have shifted over time. For me, growing up, the mantra was clear: debt is bad. Yet with the advent of services like Afterpay, it seems like there is an effort to blur the lines, making it seem acceptable to take on debt for consumer purchases like a new pair of shoes or even fish and chips for dinner. Fucking madness. This is where we must draw the line. Yes, consumer debt racked up from credit cards and high interest loans is bad. And yes, even buy now, pay later schemes for everyday purchases is unequivocally harmful. It's this kind of debt that can spiral out of control, leading to serious financial stress. I'm not denying that at all, but here's where the distinction becomes crucial. Not all debt should be painted with the same brush. There's strategic debt, which savvy investors use as leverage. This type of debt is taken out for acquiring assets that appreciate, real estate, investments, or even business ventures, with the aim for future financial gain. This brings us to a critical realization. Understanding debt is key. It's about recognizing the difference between consumer debt, which should be approached with caution, and strategic debt, which can be a powerful tool for wealth creation. Speaking of wealth, society paints this picture of high incomes, luxury lifestyles, and symbols of affluence. A bottle of fine wine every night, a Ferrari SUV in the driveway, and a high-profile companionship flaunted across social media. Don't get caught up in status games. That's not wealth. It's a mirage, a nightmare even. That brings us on to our fifth lie about money that is total bullshit. Money is wealth. It's not. True wealth isn't measured by the money you amass, but the time it affords and represents. The freedom. Money, while a useful tool for measuring and storing time, isn't the end goal. Wealth is all about the depth of your relationships, maintaining a youthful spirit or a healthy body, and the wisdom gained from life's experiences. It's learning from the people around us and accumulating knowledge, not just dollars. For me, wealth means having a blank calendar, no Zoom calls, and the freedom to let your creativity and imagination run wild. Not being distracted by a boss or societal expectations. Wealth is being free to explore, create, and live life on your own terms. This is the essence of wealth: meaningful connections, good health, wisdom, and the ultimate luxury, freedom.
So much to do. Unlimited possibilities.
Moving on to the sixth biggest lie you believe about money, and one that was prevalent in my early teens. Let's say you have $1,000 and you put it in the stock market for a 1-year return of 9%. Pretty reasonable, and you end up with $90 profit. Cool, whatever, no biggie. Now imagine if you have $270,000 and at the end of the 12 months, it's now worth $294,300. What's the difference? Well, obviously, at face value, the second person made $24,300 profit, but the percentages are both the same. They both made 9%. The lie we're all told is you need a lot of money to start investing. While I do believe a lot of people think this is true, I think there's a deeper misconception that seems to be rooted in the instant gratification culture and the want for more faster. Back when I was 18 or 19, I was not one bit interested to lock up $1,000 just to earn $90 over the year investing. So while you don't need a lot of money to invest, which is the opposite to what we're told, for me, I believe it's more of a mindset shift we need. Think about it. The dream of overnight success in the stock market is as risky as it is unrealistic. While 9% might not give you an adrenaline rush, it's the compound interest over time that truly builds up. Good, sound investing should be boring. The challenge isn't about the amount you begin with, but shifting your mindset from craving immediate significant returns to one appreciating the gradual accumulation of money. It's about patience, realistic goals, and understanding that the journey to financial prosperity is a marathon, not a sprint. Conventional wisdom tells us that saving money is wise, but this is the 7th biggest lie you believe about money. What's often overlooked is the reality of what happens to your money once it's in the bank account. It becomes a tool for the bank, an asset they can leverage for their own financial gain. While it's unlikely, as seen in rare crises, that banks would directly steal your money, the fine print often reveals that the money you deposit isn't entirely under your control anyway. This realization doesn't mean you should stash your cash under a mattress, but instead it's a call to be aware who controls your money. If the banks are using it as a tool to make more, then why aren't you? One of the biggest financial errors is paralysis by fear of loss. This fear deters people from investing, seeking financial education, or preparing for potential economic downturns. Ironically, this exact inaction and avoidance of risk is the true danger. Whether you like to hear this or not, risk is essential for growth. This is just a cold hard fact. The goal isn't recklessly gambling, but understanding and managing risk, especially asymmetric risk where you limit potential downsides. I've seen countless people avoid financial risks, condemning themselves to a lifetime of working for money, overshadowed by what ifs and regrets. I hope you enjoyed this video. I actually had fun unraveling some of the bullshit lies I was told growing up, and I'm sure you would have some that you've heard too before. I upload every Wednesday, so please make sure you subscribe to stay up to date. And as always, if you want to start a profitable online business but don't know where to begin, then there's some super helpful resources in the description below.